Hello everybody, I'm Ezel Senpai, and welcome to the History of Gold Paladins. In this series, I plan to talk about everything Gold Paladin, from the very beginning all the way to the current set of GBT-10. For this video, I'm going to be talking about everything Gold Paladin from the very beginning of the trial deck all the way to BT-9. Mainly just Season 2 stuff, along with the extra booster, Cavalry of Black Steel. Alright, so let's go ahead and get right into the trial deck. Just to let you guys know, I'm not going to be talking about every single Gold Paladin card. I'm just going to be talking about the ones that kind of have stood out the most. So to start this off, let's start with the founder of Gold Paladins themselves, Garmor. Great Silver Wolf Garmor. This card, I'm going to say it's so cool so many times throughout this series. And if you guys want to keep a count on it, go ahead. But Garmor is a unique Gold Paladin card all on his own. Garmor, when he's placed on Vanguard Circle, Counterblast 2, search your deck for anything grade 2 or lower and call it to an open rearguard, and then shuffle the deck. Garmor, when Gold Paladins first came out, Garmor was a go-to boss. Garmor is one of the very first units to gain a limit break. And with Garmor being a trial deck card, it's a very basic limit break. When it attacks, it gains 5,000 until the end of turn. Garmor was a staple in many Gold Paladin decks back in 2012. If you need a specific unit to call, you go to Garmor and call it out from the deck. Next, I'd like to talk about two cards. We got Knight of Superior Steel's Bowman's and Knight of Elegant Steel, Gareth. Now, they're both 2 vanilla, 10k and 8k respectively, but they do stand out more for later support, and I'll go into it in just a little bit, but they are important. Next, we have Charge Tool. Charge Tool is a very special unit that when it boosts Garmor, Great Silver Wolf Garmor, Soul Blast 1, and it gains 5,000 power until the end of the turn, or until the end of that battle. So essentially pushing Garmor with Limit Break to 26,000, which is a stride all by itself. Pretty good. I mean, Gold Paladins back then didn't really have a way of building up soul, but they also didn't need it as well. And finally from the trial deck we have Silverfang Witch. She was just a 1-of in the trial deck. When she's placed on rearguard, you can Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. Back then, drawing was very important. I mean, drawing is still important. Deck thinning is deck winning, as a lot of people say. This card, was very handy. It was like a tech of 2 in some cases. All around, it was just a good card. The trial deck itself was pretty solid, but it was just lacking stuff, and that's where Booster 6 comes in. Booster 6 introduced a lot of new Gold Paladin units. Not just that, but also a new playstyle for Gold Paladins outside of the trial deck, where the concept of superior calling the top card to open rearguard was heavily influenced. And the main card that did that, one of my personal favorites, Incandescent Lion Blondism. Now, a lot of people are very skeptical about this card. Oh, it's a Counterblast 2, you randomly call the top card and it gains that power. Ezel also has a continuous skill that when during your turn, he gains 1,000 for each of your Gold Paladin rearguards. Now, I mean, it's a good card, it really is. And back in the day when it came to random calling, it was either going to be a good call or it was going to be a trigger. But either way, that's still going to be powered towards the Vanguard, with Ezel also gaining his own boost from his own skill, but also being boosted from the back. Now, Ezel himself isn't as broken. He used to be broken, but not as much. And what used to cause that is the starter. What made Blonde Ezel amazing was the fact that you were able to superior ride literally on turn 2 if all the conditions were set. How you do this? Well, you use Bowman's as the Vanguard, this is your starter, and Gareth in the rear guard. So this 3-card combo made it to where you can superior ride grade 3 when your opponent's only at grade 1. Back in the day, this was amazing, and I personally used this, and I loved it. I still have all the stuff for it. It's if you're able to pull it off, it's great. But other than that, it's like, hit or miss. So that was a foundation for a particular build. When you saw a Kref, it's like, okay, the opponent has a blonde Ezel. Okay, they're trying to do the superior ride. This is when, I think it was before Gatling Claw came out for Kaduro, so there wasn't really much rearguard sniping at all. And this would already be done before the opponent were to ride to like Blaster Blade as the Vanguard. Next we have some grade 2s. We have Player of the Holy Bow, Vivian. Vivian is a unique card in her own right. At the time, she was amazing. I think she was like $7 at the time. I remember she was up there. But pretty much what her skill was is when she was boosted and it hits, counterboss 1, you top call the top card to open rearguard. So you would use these on-hit call skills to fill up your rearguards. Usually I think you would attack with Vivian first, and then you would hit attack with your Vanguard Blonde Ezel. You got some decent columns out of it. A lot of the time it could just been just a trigger. It's like, nah, I shouldn't have done that. With Gold Paladins being so counterblast heavy, there needed to be a countercharge engine before countercharging was a thing. This came in the form of Major Calamity Trip. Trip was an on-hit unit that if she did hit the Vanguard, countercharge a card. Or you turn one card in your damage face up, however you want to say. I'd just say countercharge. Vivian also had a grade 1 form in the form of Player of the Holy Axe, Nemain. Nemain is a clone of Vivian, except it's when she boosted, and that unit that she boosted hit the Vanguard, counterblast 1, you call the top card to open rearguard. So if you got hit with heavy damage, like during your first couple of turns, and you've got like maybe 2 or 3 damage open, and you called a Vivian and a Nemain, ooh, Nimoy. Nemain. Nimoy. Next, we're going to talk about Slagle Dagger. Slagle Dagger was the #1 doggo at the time for Gold Paladins. I mean, you can technically count Charge Goal as a doggo. Hell, you can even say that Garmor is technically a doggo. But Slagle Dagger was the doggo to go to during this time of Booster 6. Where if you had 4 or more rear guards, 4 or more other rear guards, you can counterblast 1 and he gained 2,000. And this was an act effect, so if you didn't use any counterblast throughout the game, you have a full field. Well, you pump up your doggo to, let's see here, if you're at 5 damage already, he gains so he already becomes a 17k booster or beat stick. And then finally we have Flame of Victory, which is almost an essential card in every Gold Paladin deck, even to this day. He's a Martel clone, he goes into the soul, and you give a unit an extra 3,000 attack, which is pretty good. I mean, this was your other go-to trigger if you also needed soul, you know, for Silverfane Witch, or a Charge Goal even. Because it works with Charge Goal, you can call it out with Garmor, put it in the soul, give Garmor an extra 3k, call Charge Goal behind it, attack. Assuming Garmor's at limit break, you soul blast it, hey, your Vanguard's now attacking for 29,000. With Booster 6, Gold Paladins were very one-card call. What I mean is, it was a random top call from the deck. Now that was good, because it's like, oh hey, it's another unit on the field. But at the same time, it really wasn't that good. But thankfully, with the release of Booster 7, we were introduced to a new concept that later became an established thing for Gold Paladins: checking the top 3. With this set, we were introduced to units such as Palinor, Dindrain, Lopbeard Shooter, and Spring Breeze Messenger. With Palinor, this unit here, it was a giant curveball to other Gold Paladin players. We had a Gold Paladin that could be used from rearguard. Which, I mean, you're still using cards like Gigantic Ringer and stuff like that. But this card was just like, whoa, what? It was so good. So the idea of Palinor was you would do something such as having your Vanguard attack, say it's boosted with Spring Breeze Messenger. When Palinor is called from the deck to an open rear guard, you can discard a card and have him move to the Vanguard circle at stand, which at the time is like, oh god, it's a restanding Vanguard without having it actually be a restanding Vanguard. With this set, Gold Paladins got the whole, when this card is called from the deck, do something. And you check the top 3 cards, search for one, call it to open rear, put the rest in the bottom in any order. Is this starting to sound familiar? Yeah. Spring Breeze Messenger is a really good starter, and it was a really good starter even in Season 3 era, because Liberators didn't necessarily have a decent starter. Not to say that, you know, Wingle wasn't that good, but this was a go-to starter. Next, we also have Lop-Ear Shooter, whose skill is when it's placed on rearguard circle from the deck, you can discard a card, check the top 3, search for one card among them, call it to rear, and then put the rest in the bottom in any order. Now with Lop-Ear Shooter, it not just sped up your Palinor play or Dindrain play, but it did something that a lot of the previous Gold Paladins hadn't done. Call to rearguard. Even if it means that there are no open zones, you can still call over it. That made Lop-Ear Shooter so unique. So good. And at the time, I think they were at like $7 when they first came out. They were really good. And then we have Listener of Truth, Dindrain. Dindrain is when it's placed from the deck to rearguard, Soul Blast 1, draw a card. Now this was a lot easier to do with this sort of engine, even with Garmor from the trial deck. It was easier on the Soul too, because it's just a Soul Blast 1, which later on Gold Paladins do need Soul. This set was really, really cool. And it kind of established, okay, there's at least 3 bosses in Gold Paladin. Well, that's not necessarily true, because then we had the introduction of the Extra Booster 3, the one with Spectral Duke Dragon, in which we're going to talk about the Spectral Duke Ride Chain. The Spectral Duke Ride chains back then were actually decent. They either hit their targets or they didn't. And if you wanted to make sure you hit your target, you kind of had to re-ride or stall for a couple turns until you got all the cards in your hand. But this set introduced a lot of decent cards, not just for the Ride Chain, but for Gold Paladin in general. And I'll start off with Spectral Duke Dragon. Spectral Duke Dragon created another boss unit for Gold Paladin. I remember seeing Duke and Garmor as a deck. Duke and Ezel, believe it or not. Duke and Palinor, and it worked. It was really, really cool that you could use Palinor in Spectral Duke Dragon. Spectral Duke Dragon is also very special in Gold Paladin because he's the only one to have a restanding skill. Restanding Vanguards back then were just the thing. You got Durant Overlord that can restand. You had some Nova Grapplers that could restand. Now you got Spectral Duke Dragon that can restand. And then if you did the right chain correctly, every turn you were able to kill off one of your other units in Superior Call 2. That made it to where you can fill up the field faster, hit for higher numbers, use on-call skills, essentially lead up to Spectral Duke's limit break of counterblasting 2 and killing off your units in order to restand. The ride chain itself, I don't think I really need to go into explanation. I think you guys understand how it works. I'd like to talk about another grade 3 that Gold Paladin used, but it was really just a second or third grade 3 that we have. And he is Gigantic Destroyer. Now, Gigantic Destroyer, I think at most was played at 3 or 2, maybe even at 1. I don't think he was ever at 4. But he has a Vanguard Rearguard skill that when he attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Gold Paladin Vanguard, he gains 2,000 attack until the end of the battle. So what this card did was, it's like, okay, I'm gonna call Destroyer, and then I'm gonna call Gareth in the back. Behind it, boost, attack, I'm hitting your Vanguard for 20, which back then was a really high number. And you had to guard with a 10k and a 5k shield. Now I'd like to talk about a pair of cards. I'd like to talk about Flash Edge Valkyrie and Blade Feather Valkyrie. Now, these cards, these cards were weird, but essentially what Flash Edge Valkyrie did was when she's placed on the Vanguard or Rearguard circle from the deck, counterblast 1. If you have a Vanguard, let the top card of your deck, search for one card among them, call it to open Rearguard with the rest of the bottom. So it's counterblast 1, check. If you miss, too bad. You also follow up with that with Blade Feather Valkyrie. When you counterblast 1, when an attack hits Vanguard during the turn that this card boosted something, boosted a unit named Flash Edge Valkyrie, you can pay the cost, let the top card of your deck, call it to open Rearguard with the rest of the bottom. So it's kind of like the Vivian Nimue combo, but very restrictive. I mean, it's essentially the same thing, but it was very restricted to this has to boost this unit. But with all the stuff from Booster 7 and all the superior calling from the deck, it was actually very possible. Last from this set I'd like to talk about is Falcon Knight of the Azure. Now this is a draw trigger that Gold Paladins have. I still use it to this day. When this card's placed on Rearguard from the deck, choose another one of your Gold Paladins and it gains an extra 2,000 attack until the end of the turn. So even if you have to call this trigger from the deck, like either by Ezel skill, Duke skill, anything that superior calls from the top whatever number from the deck, at least you're able to make a power line or a good magic number with this card to give something else an extra 2,000 boost. So for a while, that's kind of how it was. You kind of saw a variety of, okay, you have Ezel and Garmor, you've got Ezel Duke, Duke Palinor wasn't, or excuse me, not Duke. Ezel Palinor kind of wasn't really a thing. It was kind of, why? That's a little too Aichi like. Duke was the main Gold Paladin deck at this time period. This is within 2012 to 2013. There were so many interesting cards to come out for Gold Paladins at this time. And then ultimately we got Booster 9. Booster 9 was a weird set in general. I mean, it supported a lot of stuff. It's the end of the Season 2 set. But this one, it didn't really help general Gold Paladins. I mean, there is generic support, but it mostly was focused on Ezel. And so I'll go ahead and explain the Ezel cards that came out in that set. First and foremost, Blazing Lion Platina Ezel. Finally, Gold Paladins have an 11k Vanguard. Platina Ezel is the first Gold Paladin to exceed the 10k to become an 11k Vanguard. And also one of the very few units back then that had Ultimate Break, or Limit Break 5. This card made it to where you can power up your whole field by 5,000 with just the simple cost of Counterblast 3. Now, even still today, that's a very costly, price. Because, I mean, who wants to Counterblast 3? No one does, unless it's going to be a really good skill. And powering up the rearguards by 5,000 actually wasn't too bad. This is where you would have, Mage of Calamity Trip. You want to have some cards that can countercharge, so you can kind of set up to do, if it hit, you're able to do it again next turn, but the Ultimate Break was meant to end the game, assuming you had rearguards also. Next we have Knight of Passion Bagdemonius. Bagdemonius is the Ezel 12k attacker. Now, this card's actually very special because this is one of the very first cards to become a 12k attacker with a specifically named Vanguard. There weren't many out at this time, but later on, everything got a 12k attacker. You back this up with the Gareth. Oh, hey, guess what? You're hitting for 20 again. Hey, guess what? You don't need Gigantic Destroyer anymore. You can just run Bad Demigos with Gareth. And then we have Dreaming Sage Corrin. This guy, he is a general grade 3 searcher for Ezel specifically. So you counterblast 1, put him in the soul, check the top 5, search for an Ezel card. If it's there, reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle. We also got extra support for the Black Steed army of Gold Paladin, which is what Spectral Duke Dragon belonged to, in the form of Chrome Jailer Dragon. So what Chrome Jailer did was... Chrome Jailer was weird, but I mean, it's still decent. Well, I think back then it was still really decent. It was another backup grade 3 for Spectral Duke Dragon or other budget decks, but its limit break was an act effect, counterblast 2, choose 2 of your Gold Paladin rear guards, retire them, and this card gains 10,000 power and critical +1. That's pretty cool. He also has another act skill of counterblast 1, choose your Persona Blast him, choose the same card, the name of this card from your hand, discard it, list the top 4 cards of your deck among them, search for up to 2 Gold Paladins among them, call them to separate open rear guards, put the rest of the bottom in the order. Now this card, it is still budget now, but back then, being able to call 2 at the same time was really, really cool. Especially with the bunning support from set 7, like Lop Ear Shooter, Dindrain, even Palinor. I think there was a combination with this card and Palinor at the same time, but I'm not 100% sure. The fact this card can gain 10k power and crit +1 just by killing off 2 rear guards, that's pretty cool. The one downside to it was that combo is counterblast 3. Then we've got Advancement of the Black Chain, Kaiden. Now Kaiden, if you guys, current, Kaiden was originally a Gold Paladin unit, but it came from the side of Shadows. Because remember, with Gold Paladins, how it was the remnants of Royal and Shadow. They were like, I don't know what to do. They decided to come together and form Gold Paladins with Garmor's help. So what Kaiden was, what he did was, when he boosted a unit and it hit, you counterblast 1, choose another rear guard of yours, and retire it. You can load the top card of your deck and call it to open rear guard at rest, and put the rest of the bottom in order. So if you already attack with the rear guard column and you think you're able to top deck something else, like Lop Ear Shooter or Dindrain, this card helped. It's interesting, but still the fact that it was a counterblast 1 wasn't too desirable, but it did work in a bunch of other decks. Next we have Stronghold of the Black Chain, Howl. This guy has definitely grown up over time. He was a starter originally before he became a grade 2 for Diablo. Choose one of your Gold Paladins, put this card in your soul, and it gains 3,000 power till the end of the turn. A pretty basic, like Margle, Flame of Victory kind of skill. If you want to go in for that little extra boost of power, you can go for it. And then finally, actually not finally, the last normal Gold Paladin card from the set was Runebow. Runebow is a stand trigger doggo that counterblast 1, put him into the soul. Lift the top card of your deck, call it to open rear guard, and put the rest of the bottom in the order. So you can kind of control when you call stuff, and you're able to put stuff in your soul. Now what I meant by normal Gold Paladin cards was, in the set we also had 2 other cards that technically are Gold Paladins, but at the same time they're also not. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Blaster Blade Spirit and Blaster Dark Spirit. Both of these cards in their text have a continuous skill that says this card is also treated as a Gold Paladin. They're 10k, which is pretty unique. To be a 10k with a skill, that's pretty cool. But they were on call to rearguard from the deck. So it comboed with Garmor, it comboed with Ezel, it comboed with Dude, it comboed with the bunny stuff. It was great. Blaster Blade Spirit made it to where you counterblast 1. When it's called from the deck, you can kill off your opponent's grade 2 or greater, which was very handy at the time because a lot of decks were still using cards like Gigantic Destroyer or the equivalent of a grade 3 that gains 2000 when it attacks a Vanguard. Blaster Dark Spirit, on the other hand, killed off grade 1s or lower, or grade 2 or lower from the front row. This also got in the way of preventing your opponent from using special interceptors, also getting rid of pesky grade 1s like 10k attackers, which weren't introduced until next time, but it still was able to get away with that. Now, I know I've just been kind of talking about these cards in general, but I really want to talk about how it's really changed. With every set so far in this video, they went from, okay, a direct search to random top card to retiring their own cards, checking the top 3 and calling one to rear guard. And then we also have cross ride and certain other things too. So Gold Paladins definitely have changed from the very beginning to the end of set 9. It was a very interesting format, it really was. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys liked it, leave a comment down below, give a like. If you guys like what I have so far on the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Also check out the links below. And next time, I will be talking about everything Gold Paladin from the Liberator Trial Deck 8, all the way to Infinite Rebirth, Booster 15. And with that, I'll catch you guys later. Have a great day, and remember, stay humble.